What it do, everybody? It's your boy Johnny B. We on JonnyBeeTV. We got a very special guest in the building, man. I'm very happy to have him. Y'all know I love basketball, so it's somebody I can really pick their brain on and learn from. We got the coach in here, man. Coach Chuck Smith, man. How you doing, bro?
What's going on, y'all? I'm glad to be here, bro. Thanks for having me, man.
Thanks. Before we get into your story and all that, we just had the summer go past. How's your summer overall, like on the court and off the court?
Oh, man. Honestly, this summer for me was rough, bro. So I was coaching AAU with Chapman Basketball Academy, of course.
Yeah.
Coaching our 16U team. So I was doing a lot of that, but my summer really consisted of recruiting.
Okay.
So here at Bryant Stratton, we got to recruit 45 players because we got a top team and then we got a developmental team. So basically, you got to fill those 45 spots by any means necessary. So like, I'm up to like 12, 1 in the morning, talking to dudes, building relationships, trying to get guys signed and so on and so forth. So for real, my summer really consisted of a lot of recruiting, then doing the stuff with Chapman, and then on top of that, doing my training stuff that I do on the side with my company, S.O.P Basketball.
In fact, and we're going to get into all that too, but just as far as, I didn't even know you had to recruit that many players. You think about like just a roster, that's like 15 players, 16 at the most, but yeah, I didn't even think about what all else goes into that. Yeah. Speaking on that, speaking on basketball, and I see you be doing your thing. You did your thing in the past on the court. You left-handed.
Yeah.
So I want to ask, who your favorite left-hand player? I'm left-handed too, so I got to show love to the left hands.
So you want like, let's go top five.
Let's go top five. You can't just give me one. Yeah.
So top 5 lefties. Ooh, that's tough. All right. Brandon Jennings, that's like,
I like that.
That's my idol, bro. Like that's who, like, once I watched him play on YouTube, that's like sophomore year, junior year, high school, that's who I model my game after. So Brandon Jennings, James Harden, Nick Van Exel. Ooh. Then them final 2. I'm gonna just give you my favorites. Brandon Jennings, James Harden. Who was the third I said?
Nick Van Exel. Yeah, that's legit.
Kenny Anderson. That's tough. Michael Redd. I'm going Michael Redd in there. Gotta show some love to the mill. Yeah. Milwaukee Bucks. And the 6th I throw in there. Ooh, I gotta keep going. Lamar Odom.
Yeah, okay.
So then I'm gonna go a couple college guys. 2 of my favorite lefties in college.
That's good.
Salim Stoudemire and AC Law.
Ooh, them some good ones. Them some real good ones.
Yeah.
Them some perfect ones for real. And we the same age, same era, so you hit it right on the head with the Brandon Jennings. Like, I ain't gonna lie, if you was 09 right below him, man, he was really that man for real.
He was, bro.
So he was a big influence. And like you said, when it comes to college basketball, I used to love college basketball. It's a little different now. Yeah. But that's when it had real stars like they speak on with women's game right now. But AC Law, that's a real college superstar.
Killer. AC was my dog.
Hey, that's real basketball right there. NBA wise, do you tap into the NBA heavy or?
I love NBA.
Yeah, love the NBA.
Yeah, I'm a junkie, bro.
So I love the NBA too. And you're in college, so can you give me a little bit of difference between like the rules with NBA and college? Well, not rules wise, just the difference.
So I would say, so from NBA to college, NBA is a lot more spacing, and the NBA is a lot more like superstar driven. So in the NBA, you really work into how can I say this? You're looking to expose the weakest defender on the floor.
Okay.
Right? So NBA, I know a lot of people be like, well, they don't run a lot of sets. They don't do a lot of this, a lot of that. Well, the NBA, they do run a lot of sets. But at the end of the day, what's the point of running 2 or 3 actions if our first action, we can exploit a mismatch.
Feel that.
Right? So with the NBA, it's a lot of space, a lot of pick and roll basketball, but you looking to exploit the weak link, right? As far as college, is more scheme driven because you only playing 30 games at the most.
Okay, I feel that.
So essentially, like, you're running a lot of actions to try to like get the whole team involved. So it's not like superstar driven, but it's more so personnel based, and based on how can we run the best set to get us a bucket, and more so not how can we run the set to free up this person or that guy, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I like how you explained that. I needed that as well. As far as with college, is it sort of impossible to play like an NBA style because of how short the court is compared to the NBA?
Yeah.
Like the NBA, they can only play like that, the spacing like that, because of how big the size of the court is?
Well, I wouldn't say it's just the size of the court, but in the NBA, you got the defensive 3-second rule. So it's what you call a 2.9. So like who's ever the low man that's in the middle of the paint, the low guy, he can only be inside of the paint 2.9 seconds. Right? And if he's not by somebody after that 2.9 seconds, it'll be illegal defense. So in college, they don't have the illegal defense rule. So the big can camp and sit at the nail or in the paint as long as he wants to and just wait on somebody to drive. So in the NBA, you're not able to do that, right? It takes that big out of the paint. Now it's more space and so on and so forth.
While we on this topic, because I got to ask you while we're here, is that why for like, you know, the average fan, they wouldn't know why, like when they play in the USA games and stuff like that, why they just not blowing teams out like that? Because the rules is sort of like you explained it too. Yeah. So is that like really the main reason they play a certain style in the NBA? So it's not just sweet. They got to really adjust their whole game.
Yes.
In those
So if we look at it, right, you got all of these superstars, right, on the Olympic team, and like remember the NBA is superstar driven. So you got Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Steph Curry, and so on and so forth. In the NBA, all the plays are being ran for them.
You're right.
Right? And there's a shitload of spacing. Right?
Fact.
So when we get to FIBA, it's hard for these guys to just flip the switch and try to adjust to a European style of play when your muscle memory and your brain is wired to still play NBA basketball, because I mean FIBA's so short. Once that's over, your value and what you make money doing, like you're gonna stick to that style of play, if that makes sense. So like you got the Anthony Edwards, you got the Devin Bookers, like they're having plays in the games, like the actions are ran for them. So when they get out there, that's what we see guys doing, and they like, man, why they not passing the ball? Well, it's like they're used to like getting the ball, going and find a mismatch and go to work. Right? So it may seem like, oh, they playing too much one-on-one basketball to us or to like the common person. But in all actuality, they like, oh, I got the mismatch.
Facts. Okay.
So I'm about to go and I'm about to abuse this mismatch, if that makes sense. Instead of like, hey, let's run two to three actions, first side, second side, third side, and now look to score. They like, well, I mean, I could kill my guy at any given time. I play against the best players in the world. So these dudes, I'm looking at them like they food. You know what I'm saying?
Facts. That's basically how Chris Paul never made a living. I done heard him say that. That's basically how he got paid so much money. Facts. One more, since we on that, one more question about that. Say you was in Steve Kerr's situation. You see all the publicity you got for sitting Jason Tatum. But at the end of the day, is like with a star-studded team like that, somebody had to sit at the end of the day. Like, do you agree with that? Or how would you have played that? I should ask that.
I think that's tough, because Tatum is, I mean, the NBA champion. He just came off one heck of a season. I'm not sure what Steve Kerr's and like Spoelstra and those guys, I'm not sure what their game plan was, so I can't speak too much to that. But I would say, like, I think the guys that they were playing, they kind of like had the hot hand and they had it going. So it's like, why throw Tatum in there to like, I'm not gonna say mess things up, but if we got a flow and we got something going, let's just ride that out and see where it takes us.
Yeah.
Could Tatum have played? I would say yes. If I had to say like a reason why, maybe it's because Tatum is one of those guys who needs the ball in his hand, and he's like a rhythm guy. Yep. So like with some guys, they gotta dribble 1, 2, 3 times before they get a shot up, and that's how they get it going. Maybe they said we need less rhythm guys and we need more people that could just catch it on the go, shoot it, catch and shoot, and so on and so forth. So maybe that's the reason. I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
But they had it going. They had a flow. And Tatum just didn't fit that flow at the time. It happens.
Yeah. I just wanted your opinion on that. So, outside of basketball, before we get into your story, what you into most outside of basketball?
Oh man, that's a good question. Outside of basketball, I really like to just chill out. I collect vinyls, so I'm like a real like jazz connoisseur. So like, I like to listen to a lot of jazz music. Yeah. That's my thing. Buy shoes. I'm a sneakerhead. Buy clothes. Like that's kind of like how I express myself outside of like the court. So like fashion, music. And honestly, I watch a lot of movies, bro. So like, those are my things, bro.
That's good. That's good. Like you brought up jazz and stuff. I want to get into your childhood and like, you know what I'm saying? Just give me a little bit of breakdown about your childhood. Like jazz, did that come from parenting, old souls? Yeah. Just give me a little bit of breakdown. Like where you from? We in Milwaukee, but you from Milwaukee?
Yep. So grew up on the north side of Milwaukee. So I was born on 47th and Center. So I'll give you the whole breakdown. So I was born on 47th and Center. Lived there till about like 4 years old. My parents got divorced. Moved with my mom. We ended up moving on 23rd and Brown. So I lived on 23rd and Brown from, I want to say like 3rd grade till 5th grade. And that's really where I started to like lose my innocence and start like doing stuff I wasn't supposed to do.
That's a neighborhood to do it in.
So was over there from 3rd to 5th grade. Went to Phyllis Wheatley Elementary School. Shout out to Coach Clarence Mall, R.I.P. Real great guy. That's really where I learned like, oh, you're a young black guy, you know, from the north side of Milwaukee. You got to learn how to carry yourself. They really preach like black excellence and so on and so forth. So lived over there. Then I spent a little time on 29th and Village. Shout out to my guys, Rail, Ren, Mike, Rick, Corn, and so on and so forth. Lived over there for a little bit. Then end up moving. And like when I jumped off the porch and really start like growing up, I end up moving on 49th and Garfield. So you go from 23rd and Brown to 29th and Villard to 49th and Garfield, and it's like
real north side.
Real north side. You done been a little bit of everywhere, right? Lived on 49th and Garfield. Went to Webster Middle School. Went to Webster. Then end up going to Vincent for 3 years. Then I did my last year at Pulaski.
So all right. When did you spoke on sports a little bit when you started getting into organized sports? When do you feel like you started like really loving it and finding a talent for it? Was that around middle school?
No, bro. I'm gonna be honest with you. So, growing up when I lived on, this is like my earliest memory of basketball. It was I was 3 years old, living on 47th and Center, and my dad had bought me my first Fisher Price court. Right. So my older brother used to play on the court with me, teach me how to shoot, so on and so forth. And then I start like dunking on it. And I started dunking on it so much, like the rim broke. So like we had to put like duct tape on it, right, to keep it up. So like from that moment on, from like 3 years old, like bro, I kid you not, I fell in love with basketball. It's all I wanted to do. Like video games, go outside, hoop. So I did all that, but I would say I first played organized basketball 4th grade at Phyllis Wheatley. And that's when I was like, man, like people are really good, right? So some of the my guy Marquise Green, he was so cold. He was a year older than me. Then my guy Lil Pooh. A lot of people don't know Lil Pooh, but man, his name was Devaris, and he was in my grade, and he was the first dude where introduced me to organized like basketball and people that was cold.
Yeah.
So when I first saw him, I was like, man, I gotta get good, because like we was playing our games and he was scoring like 20, 25, and I'm buried at the end of the bench. I'm nice, but I'm new to the school, so don't nobody really know like who I am, and so on and so forth, right? So 4th and 5th grade, I played organized at Phyllis Wheatley with Coach Clarence Mall. That's my guy. Then I got to middle school at Webster. I would say like 6th grade is when I really was like, okay, I want to do this like for real. So played my 6th grade year with my guy Coach Bonds, my brother George, and like it was the 6th and 7th grade team. So I ended up becoming one of the starters on that team as a 6th grader. Had a real good year, and I was like, man, like
this is something I want to do.
This something I want to do, right? But here's the plot twist. So 7th and 8th grade, I didn't play on the middle school team. This is where I first realized, in hindsight now, being in college and seeing like all of these coaching changes, I experienced my first coaching change in 7th and 8th grade, because my 6th grade coach, he ended up moving up to coach the 8th graders.
Oh, okay.
So next year, 7th grade year, you think you coming in, I started 6th grade over 7th graders. Come 7th grade year, get a whole new coach. Dude has no clue who I am, don't know what he doing, so on and so forth. So I don't play 7th grade year. Then 8th grade come around, I don't play for the 8th grade team, right? So I'm like, it is what it is. I wasn't tripping. So get to high school, boom, I'm at Vincent. Now, nobody really walked me through like the whole high school dynamic and where you should go, what's the best high schools, and so on and so forth. The only thing I knew, Vincent was good in basketball. I love basketball. I want to play basketball. So that's where I'm going. Right?
I can see how that's going.
That's where I'm going.
But that's tough. That's tough right there. Like just politics. Well, I'll let you go. But I already know how that is.
So just to give you, I just wanted to say all that to give you a little scope of.
No, that's
you asked where I grew up. How did I develop my love for basketball for real? It was at Phyllis Wheatley, playing for Coach Moore, and seeing all of these kids, man, that was so good on the north side of Milwaukee. Jonathan Williams, he was so cold. He ended up going to Shoals Middle School, then played varsity at Washington, was one of their starters. Man, John was so cold, bro. A gang of other people too, but that experience at Phyllis Wheatley really helped me realize, like, man, if you want to be good, you got to really work on your game. Then I got to Webster, that 6th grade year playing for Coach Bonds. He built my confidence up. And really, really like showed me like, man, you could play like really nice. So, so a little bit of my upbringing.
You always had that confidence going in to Vincent. Like, so how was your time at Vincent? Because I know,
man. So at Vincent, it's so like, and I'm coming in at a time where they were kind of going through a rebuild with the upperclassmen. So I started our freshman year, right? 09. I started 05, 06. Now, coming off that year, 2005, I seen you had like Q-Bar up here.
I had Q-Bar.
So it was Q-Bar, Marcus Landry, Billy Mim, like all of those dudes. So like going into the next year, they trying to like determine who gonna be the top guys. So like in 05, Vincent JV's team went undefeated with Bree Perrine, DG, City, Siobhan, Marv Fitzgerald, Boss, all of those guys. So like a handful of those guys move up, and it's like a brand new varsity team. So that JV team and those freshman teams, they're really trying to figure out who gonna be those next guys to step up and take over those freshmen and those JV teams. So going into tryouts, before even tryouts, there's open gym.
Okay.
And if you don't go to open gym, you don't really get seen like that.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't really know like the culture at Vincent, the tradition, the history. So I don't go to open gym.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like from that moment, that kind of like narrowed my chances even more.
Yeah.
Right? So long story short, tryouts come and I'm looking at the JV tryouts and it's like, I kid you not, bro. It's like 90 dudes at the JV tryout.
Yeah, because Vincent a big school too.
Vincent a big school, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like 90 to like 95 guys. I'm like, I am not trying out for JV, bro. I'm gonna just take my chances with freshmen and call it a day. So freshman tryouts come, and it's like the same amount of people.
Yeah, and
I'm like, dang, like we fighting for how many spots? They like we only bring in 15 guys on. So I'm like, bro, it's gonna be like 75 people getting cut.
Yeah.
So it's 3 days of tryouts. That first day, we just doing a bunch of conditioning. The first like 30 minutes, suicides, 30s and 60s, right?
Yeah.
A 30 is 1 suicide in 30 seconds. A 60 is 2 suicides in 60 seconds. And if you don't make it, you might as well just go ahead, hit it. So like that first 30 minutes, I think they was trying to weed people out, right? So like I'm seeing people like throwing up and guys like, I'm out of here, I'm gone. So like that kind of like eliminated like 10 guys right there, right? So now we getting into like, they just going layups. Okay, let's go layup line. Cats is missing layups. They cutting people off missing. If you can't make a layup in high school, you ain't meant to play in Vincent. So guys is getting eliminated. So your hands sweating, you looking around. You like, bro, I do not want to miss this layup. You know what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
So that happened, and now they get to the 5-on-5s. 5-on-5s come. I'm killing. Like, I'm cooking dudes. Back then, I was short. I'm 6'2" now, but like my freshman year, I go into Vincent like 5'3".
Oh, for real?
Yeah, bro. So like I had a huge growth spurt. I was a late bloomer. So I'm killing. Now they like make they final round of cuts. I make it. Boom. Come back the next day. It's like 40 dudes.
Still a lot.
Still a lot.
Yeah.
So now they up the conditioning. You got to be able to make it at this time. You got to be able to make it this time.
Especially under Diener.
Yes, under Diener, right? So our coach was just as intense. Uncle Rick, shout out to Rick Pope,
He's
man.
in the program.
Yes, yes. So he had that same type of fire, and Coach Perrine, shout out to him too. But you had to really like work for it. So then they're like, all right, we going to 5-on-5s now again. This day, I'm doing good, but I'm not like killing to stand out. So now I'm like, I feel you. I'm like, I don't know if I made it. I feel like I'm gonna get cut.
Yeah.
They like, all right, we gotta take this 40 down to 20. I make the cut.
Oh, that's
boom, 20 people. So now day 3 is 20 people, and they gotta cut 5. And they like, we going straight to like scrimmages today.
Yeah.
So we scrimmage, 4 teams, 5 people on each team, and I kill. Like I killed. Like I was killing everybody, bro. So like I was the dude, the lefty that can't be guarded, but I always had handles.
Yeah.
So I'm crossing people over, getting to the rim, and like my signature shot back then was a floater.
Yeah.
So I'm getting to the rim, floaters off the backboard, left hand, right hand, hitting the midi, boom. They like making cuts, and they like, all right, this our 15. And like I was one of the 15, and it was probably like the most proudest I've been of myself. Yeah. Because I'm like, dang, bro, I just made a team at Vincent. Like this Vincent.
Especially coming from your 8th and 7th grade.
Yeah, like not really playing. And shout out to my guy, Monte Beard. Like he went to Webster with me, and like we both made the team. He was actually one of our star players that freshman year. And he asked me like, bro, you just made the team at Vincent with me. Like, why you didn't play 7th or 8th grade at Webster? I'm like, Coach ain't want me. And he was like, man, he tripping. Like, bro,
that is
nice,
crazy. That's crazy.
Yep. So freshman year is we're gonna go into it. So freshman year Now I done made the team. So it's one thing to make the team, but it's another thing to actually get minutes and be in the rotation. So early on, like the first few games, I'm not in the rotation, right? I'm getting in with like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. I ain't really tripping.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm like, I could play, bro. I know I could play. So one day, Uncle Rick brings me over because we had like study hall before practice. He pulls me in, him and Coach Perrine. That was like, if you don't play, they asked me a question that was like, if you was never to play a game this year, right, if you had to sit on the bench the entire time, how would you feel? And I was honest. I was like, you know, like, I'd be mad for real. Like, I'd be angry. But at the same time, I'd cheer my teammates on and I still work hard and I'd be a part of the team. And they was like, we kind of figured you would say that. Like, we've been watching your character, your leadership, and so on and so forth. And we want to name you a team captain.
That's big.
So I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
Right? So even though the first 2 games I ain't really playing, and they seeing my character, they seeing me be a good teammate, clapping for everybody else, they like, we want to make you a captain. And it wasn't on like no charity or nothing like that. It was just like, we like your character, bro.
Man, especially at 14, a freshman.
Yeah.
Trust me.
Right?
Yeah.
So they make me a captain, and then they say on top of that, we moving you into the starting lineup.
Oh, that's busy. That's even more rewarding.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So my first game, I'm starting, bro. It's against Washington, right? Rivals from Vincent,
yeah.
Washington. That's like the rivalry team, bro. And I hate to say it, bro. I've never beat Washington in my high school career, bro.
Oh, that's tough.
Like my freshman year, my sophomore year, my senior year, I did not beat them dudes.
Yeah.
So freshman year, they had my boy Chunk, and they had this dude named J-Rock. And J-Rock ended up transferring to Marshall later on, but like J-Rock cooked us freshman and sophomore year. And he lived around the corner from me on 48th in Garfield. So like it was a big game for me. So first game, come out the gate, hit a deep 3, boom, right? Then I don't know, the game kind of got like, it was a little too fast for me. Washington gritty, they gonna talk trash, they gonna talk crazy with you. I ain't gonna lie, it kind of got to me a little bit.
Yeah.
So like, I had a really bad game, and I sat down and I talked to Coach Polk and Coach Perrine, and they was like, it ain't as easy as it look, is it? And I'm like, no, it's not. So they was like, so we gonna like move you to the bench, right? You gonna come be 6th man, 7th man, or something like that. So throughout that year, I was like 7th or 8th man, playing and so on and so forth, making contributions here and there, but I'm getting better.
Yep.
So I ain't really tripping. And I'm still team captain. So like I kind of prided myself more on that, because like to be named that, it means like you got to be doing something right. And on top of that, I was a 3.4 student at the time.
Oh yeah.
So like I had real good grades.
And they need that always.
Right? So that's pretty much like the glimpse. My freshman year, then sophomore year came, and now it's like, okay, you going from that freshman team, now you're trying to make this JV team. And again, just because you made the freshman team at Vincent, that don't mean you're going to make that JV team going into your sophomore year.
Yeah, and y'all got new players coming in,
New players coming in, new freshmen coming in, and so on and so forth. So my sophomore year, this is where I would say like the politics started getting involved. And I didn't really know what politics was back then, but I started to realize real fast, it is what it is, right? So my sophomore year, that's the class of 07, that's State's senior year.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the team that went upstate. So
you got Bree, you got DG, you got City, you got Marv, you got Armand Boston, you got the guys from our class, Mike, Weems, Trent, you got Bart, Steve Stovall, like you got all of them dudes. Daryl Dent, you got all of them dudes on that team. So now at Vincent or at any big school, they trying to start to stack their younger groups up.
Yeah.
So they like, once the class of 08, it ain't that many of them. We gonna need, the class of 09 and class of 08 to be pretty strong.
Yeah.
So they bring in the class of 2010, and they really want to prime those dudes. So like, I was a sophomore. The freshmen underneath me was guys like Xavier Tipton, who was really cold.
Yeah.
Andre Winston, who was really nice. Jose Winston nephew. So now I'm seeing like, oh, they bringing these. So Andre Winston, this Jose Winston nephew, he's a Winston.
Yeah.
So he's gonna play.
Yeah, he gonna play.
He gonna play, right?
He gonna get the opportunity.
He gonna get that opportunity, right? Xavier Tipton come in. He gonna get that opportunity as well.
Yeah.
So tryouts come around now. This time I'm kind of hip, so I'm like, I gotta go to open gym. I gotta go to all of the conditioning and so on and so forth. So I'm going to everything. I'm there, and I'm looking at some of the freshmen and some of the sophomores that they have go play on the varsity side. So I'm like, oh.
Yeah, you seeing how it works?
Yeah, I'm seeing how it works. I'm not tripping. I'm not paying no mind to it, right? So I'm like, it is what it is. I can get a chance on JV as long as I work hard.
Facts.
Right? The results are gonna show. So long story short, tryouts come, 90 guys in there again. Now I'm thinking, I'm good. I got Marcus Hines. He gonna be my JV coach.
Yeah.
But so my freshman year, Hines was the boys JV coach. They go 15-1. But the girls varsity coach passed away. Coach Griff, R.I.P. Nicole Griffin's dad. And Hines takes over as the girls head coach.
Okay.
Right? And he starts a dynasty with them.
Yeah, he
so
did.
Now that head JV coach position is open because Uncle Rick didn't take it. Coach Perrine ended up leaving, going to work somewhere else. So we needed a brand new JV coach, and you needed a brand new freshman coach. Right? So the coach that they hired, I'm not going to say his name because we didn't really see eye to eye like that. And now it could get messy. But the coach, they bring him in, the new coach, and he's not like really a city guy like that.
Okay.
Right? So tryouts, I'm coming in with, I'm not gonna lie, a little entitlement because it's like I was the captain of the freshman team.
Yeah.
I worked hard. So tryouts come, and I'm seeing some of the varsity guys like root for other dudes. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Like, I'm the underdog again. It is what it is, right?
Real politics.
So, real politics. So, JV tryouts come, and again, I'm killing. Like, I'm destroying dudes. Freshmen, sophomores, I don't care who it is. You in my way, you getting cooked. Yeah. So, like, I'm hooping, but again, I don't have that name, right? So, I make the team over a lot of guys who they was rooting for, like transfers that came in. I was talking crazy. Yeah. Like I make the team, but again, it's one thing to make the team at Vincent. It's another thing to be in that rotation.
Yeah.
So first game of the season, we play Pius at Wisconsin Lutheran College because our varsity played their varsity, and this is when Corey Lucius left King and went over to Pius, him, Monty, and Big Montreal Clark. So they go over to Pius, so it's a really big game.
I remember that game.
Right? So the JV game is packed because everybody trying to get a seat early for the varsity game. So first game of the year, I don't play at all, bro.
And
I'm seeing all of these transfers, all of these freshmen. My guy Deion Batten, who was cold, he actually left Mesmer and came over to Vincent, and like started. So like he played over me. Xavier Tipton played over me. Andre Winston didn't get in. He was upset. And I'm like, man, like bro, I'm working hard. I don't get in. And long story short, a couple weeks later, we scrimmage varsity. right? And this is like right before our varsity team go out to Hawaii. It's like a big tournament in Hawaii that they always go to. And that's where they like beat a bunch of nationally ranked teams. But Dean are like, hey, we want the JV team to scrimmage the varsity team. So we scrimmaged them, whatever. Our first string play their first string. They kill our first string.
Yeah.
Right? Then our second string get in and play their second string. And our second string getting cooked. Yeah. Right? So now they put I'm third string.
Yeah, oh,
right?
Man, they got you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So, but I'm looking at all of the guards. I'm a real observant guy, right? So I'm looking at all of the guards that was playing before me. They trying to dribble too much. They over dribbling. Can't get to their spot. Instead of just being a floor general, getting us in the offense, they trying to do too much, trying to show off in front of the dealer.
Exactly.
To show that they nice. So I go in and I'm doing exactly what Coach Bonds taught me in middle school. Mm-hmm. If you got a pesky defender, put them on your hip, get the ball up the court, get us into the offense, and leave it at that, right?
Fact.
So that's what I do. Bringing the ball up the court, get us in our offense, going the screen away, hit a shot every now and then, but I'm just playing mistake-free basketball. And now the varsity guys just like, man, Lil Chuck, he can play. Like, he nice. Like, Lil Charles, nice. So I'm doing my thing, just playing my role. Next thing I know, maybe like 4 minutes, he take me out.
Oh, that's tough. That's tough.
So now
this against the varsity.
Yeah, this is against the varsity. Yeah. The varsity guy's like, man, he hooping. Yeah. Right? So he take me out, put the first string back in versus they third string. We end up beating they third string with our first string, right? Yeah. So we happy, we jumping for joy, but like the varsity guys telling our JV coach, like, man, you should have put him in more, like he was doing this thing. And so that was the moment on, like I earned the varsity guys respect. Yeah. Right? That's so big. Now I grew a little bit, so I went from like 5'3" to 5'7", so I got a little more height. My jumpers getting real pure, it's getting real nice, still got my floater. So I guess from that moment, the varsity guys kind of pressured the JV coach to play me more and to see what I had. So after that practice, next thing I know, I hop in the starting lineup, right? So we about to play Madison, at Madison. Game gonna be packed, super packed. But Madison, this is a time, varsity was full of freshmen and sophomores. So like a lot of they juniors had to play JV. Okay. So right? Yeah. So we at Madison, playing at Madison, and it's a bunch of like juniors on their JV team. And some of them were a few of my AAU teammates, right? So we playing, I get the start. It's crazy. First play of the game, bring the ball up court, I get picked. Right? Go grab it, dive on the floor for the loose ball, pass it, get the ball back, I make a three. Boom. Okay. All right. So next play, it's still wild, right? Get the ball up court, they kind of speed me up, right? But I turn the ball over. Bad play. Okay, cool. Boom. Next thing I know, I'm out of the game. Yeah. Bro. So usually if you a starter, you go back in, right? You get a chance. Coach tells you what to do, what not to do, right? They coach you up to make sure you know what to do when you go back in. I don't get back in the game, bro. Yeah. No, I don't get back in the game, right? So, bad coaching. Yeah. So, boom. Couple more games go. It's about to be Christmas break. I'm only getting in with like a minute left. 30 seconds left. We get in the Christmas break. It's one game against, I want to say, North. We play North. I get in. I'm pissed. It's like, I want to say, a minute 45 left. Yeah, no, bro. Especially towards the end of the season. I'm so pissed though, right? No, but this is right before Christmas break.
Oh, this okay.
Yeah, so I go in. I'm so pissed, bro. I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm going to make use of whatever minutes I get. I scored 10 points in a minute 40, bro.
Damn.
10 points in a minute 40.
Okay, right? Yeah, you really told yourself.
My coach see that, And he like, okay, well, Christmas break here. We gonna see what you got over Christmas break practices, and we gonna go from there. So Christmas break practice come. I'm geeked because like I want to hoop. I want to get in the gym, right? So Christmas break practices in high school, it show you who really want it and who don't want it. So of course all of our varsity guys is there. But with the JV guys, it's maybe like 3 or 4 of us showing up on a consistent basis. So we get the opportunity to work out with VAR, right? So we doing certain drills with them, and I'm doing my thing. They seeing me, you know, play my part, not trying to do too much. But then we break off and we go do our stuff with JV. Mind you, it's only 4 people. It's only so much you could do. So my coach is seeing me work out, and sometimes he wouldn't be there. And so other like Vincent alumni will work us out. So I'm near every practice, right? Catching a city bus from the north side to Vincent, bro.
That's
a ride, bro. That's like a 40-minute ride, bus ride.
Visit far for everybody.
It's in the middle of nowhere, bro. So I'm in the snow trapping, taking 3 buses to practices, and like people is letting them know, like, man, Charles is here, like he doing everything you want him to do. So he like, well, when we get back from break, I'm gonna play you more, right? First game back from break, we playing Hamilton High School. They freshman team not that good, right? So I'm like, oh yeah, this one of them games.
This before Hamilton,
right? This is before they was good, right? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get my shot. Bro, he puts me in with 1:30 again, bro. I'm putting in all this work. I'm one of the only people there at Christmas break. My grades is good. I'm a 3.0 student. It ain't like I'm weak. I'm like, damn, bro, what else you want from me? You know what I'm saying?
Hell yeah.
So, long story short, the rest of the season, it goes like that. I don't really play. I'm not really getting in. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just use this off season to just work on my game at the park. And I'm going to get better because I don't want to feel this again, right? So, towards the end of my sophomore year, though, I'm kind of contemplating transferring because I'm like, bro, I ain't even get to, like, showcase myself. So, I know. My sophomore year, I knew I wasn't making varsity my junior year. Like, I knew it. I felt this. So, going into sophomore year, right before the season started, my cousin Brian Brooks, he was on JV with us, but he like, I'm leaving and I'm going to Destiny. So Destiny in 09,
it's just
07. It's 07. It's brand new.
Yeah, I was
right?
gonna say it's a few years in, right?
It wasn't even open yet. So he like, I'm about to go be part of the founding class. Yeah, we super old.
I remember when Destiny opened up.
So he like, I'm about to go be a part of the founding class. I'm finna go be the man over there. So I ain't know this school, brand new, right? So if we didn't have practice at Vincent, we used to go hoop at Christian Faith. And then come back and take the activity buses home around 6:30 when school was out. So I used to go with my guys and we would go up to Christian Faith and hoop, but Destiny would be practicing up there. So I would hop in drills with them. And they was like, man, you nice, bro. Like, you should think about coming over here. So in the back of my mind, I'm like, I ain't gonna make varsity at Vincent. What if I went over to Destiny? Right? So that was in the back of my mind. I ain't make no moves early on, but going into the summer of my junior year, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to Destiny, right? So that summer, I still keep in touch with a few people. I talked to the athletic director at Destiny, but like, I don't really know bro like that. So I'm killing, but like, he don't really know me when he's seeing me in the drills and stuff. So me and my moms, we go up to Destiny, fill out the application, and I'm seeing like who they juniors go be. And I see Brian, I see a couple dudes from other NPS schools, and I'm looking and I'm like, dang, all these dudes coming here. So it kind of like I'm like, bro, I don't even want to go here no more.
I feel you.
Kind of like, I'm not going to say that it discouraged me a little bit because I'm like, bro, I'm trying to come over here to be the man. And one of my guys from Vincent who should have made the JV team, my boy Javen, should have made the JV team, but he didn't make it. He went over to Destiny like, I'm finna come hoop over here. So I'm like, Javen over here. They got my boy D-Wade who played at Bayview. He left Bayview, went over there. My boy Lamont Bullocks went over there. So like they kind of assembling their team. So I'm like, dang, I should have came over here like
sort of like people with the same story as you.
Same story as me, right?
I feel you on that.
So they got a lot of like the underdogs. So I'm like, you know what, forget it. Filled out the application. I see the athletic director. He kind of don't really know me, so he kind of like giving me the cold shoulder a little bit. So long story short, I do it, but I'm like, why I ain't get in? So like school starting up. And we call up there, they like, oh, you didn't do the essay part. So I'm like, bro, I forgot to do the essay.
Oh, it's all a different part on there?
Yes. Yeah. So now I got to go back to Vincent. So I go back to Vincent and I'm looking at the teams, the politics, and I'm like, bro, I ain't finna make varsity. So I ain't even waste my time. Like, I ain't giving y'all no tryout fee. I ain't finna try out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just sit out this year. Then I'm going to transfer my senior year. And since I sat out, I'm going to be able to play my senior year, right? Because I ain't played this whole year. So I sat that year out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to just get better. So I'm at the Boys and Girls Club every day after school, working on my game, playing fives. I end up playing church league. Then on the weekends, I'm at the Y on 12th. Who, like, I literally like dedicated myself to basketball, bro. Like dedicated myself to it, right? And I ain't really play for no big AAU team because people don't really know my name. They don't really know who I am. So I'm playing for like the Wisconsin Wizards. And like teams, playing for teams like that.
And around that time, you either on the elite level, it was either playground or DTA.
So playground, DT, stay in the game. Fox Valley Skills, they was nice. The Rebels, like if you ain't playing for none of them,
the Rebels was damn near playground.
They was playground. With Johnny, Jamil, Josh, Jontel, all of them dudes, right? So Theo, he came to Vincent with us. So I ain't really no big name dude, so it's like I gotta figure it out. So now, but I've grown. So remember, I started off at 5'3", going into my junior year, I'm like 5'11".
Oh, okay,
So like people like, he ain't little Charles no more. So long story short, so that's junior year. So now I done worked on my game. I'm like 6 feet now. I'm leaving Vincent. So I end up leaving Vincent. In my senior year, I go over to Pulaski, right? So now here's where the politics play in my favor, right? So my junior year, Pulaski had a bunch of 08 guys, my boy Aaron, Mayan, Paul, all of those guys. They did really well at Pulaski that year. So they graduated out, and now like the 09 class not as good. So like they need players. So when you hear, oh, we got to transfer from
Vincent,
we got to transfer from Vincent, right? In the building, that rings alarms and that rings stuff off, right? So now, as much as I was saying like, man, the politics over here, the politics actually playing in my favor, and I don't really realize it because I come from Vincent, and when you at Vincent, it's like, that's the it school. So I get over there and everybody like embracing me. They like, oh man, I heard it's like a fashion show over there. Like I'm like one of the, I leave Vincent and I go over here and I'm like a big fish in a small pond now. So I got the world in my hands, right? So I'm over there and Billy Harris is the coach. He bring over a bunch of sophomores that was at Bayview because Coach Chapman had like Lil Charlie, Darnell Harris, E. Cook, Johnny Lake. So Johnny ended up going prep. Chapman ended up taking a job with Loyola Chicago, and all of those guys went over to Hamilton.
Yeah.
So that whole freshman class either went to Hamilton, and some of them came over to Pulaski with us. So my boy Roy Marshall, coaching down in Arkansas, doing his thing. Shout out to Roy. My boy Javis came over, and my boy Samar came over, Lil Samar.
Oh, I remember him.
He was so cold.
Yeah,
bro.
dark skin.
Yes.
Yeah, shout out to him. I ain't heard that name. Hey, he was nice. You're right.
Samar, he don't get his proper recognition, but he was the first pesky on ball defender that I seen that loved to play defense.
That's a fact.
And he was he was getting looked at by D1 schools.
I was gonna say he had a name. He had a name.
I remember for a fact, Texas Southern was looking at him and UWM. Then D-Lo ended up coming over from Bayview too. So Harris was looking to build with those guys. Then we had this big 6'6" dude named Eric Farah. Then my boy Anthony Rogers was over there. So Harris, for real, was looking over that whole junior class, and he was looking at all the Bayview dudes plus Big Eric, and then me to be the main. And we had my boy Otis Pirtle come over, right? So Otis was a top 10 freshman. So you got a top 10 freshman, right, coming in. That's unheard of at Pulaski.
Yeah.
So Otis come over there. So we looking at a really good team. Plus we got my boy Jamil McKay, who's a sophomore who should have been on that varsity team with us.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, he was on JV along with who else was that? Greg Moody. Bro, we had Harris really had a good staff. And this is what I didn't know. I ain't say this. So it was a new principal at Pulaski, right? So the new principal, her brother, she gave him the JV job at Pulaski. And his name was Coach Eastern. So I knew Coach Eastern from Webster.
Okay.
Right? So long story short, she was trying to get Harris out of there so her brother could move up and take that head varsity gig, right? Yeah. So as a kid, you don't know all of this dynamic and all of this stuff going on. But we looking man, we gonna have a good team, right? So the Bayview guys, they was real immature, bro. Real good players, but real immature. They get into it with Big Eric, and they about to get into a fight.
Damn.
Yeah, they probably did get into a fight, and I think Eric got kicked out. So now you got a 6'6" big who could potentially be first team all city. He's gone.
Yeah, see, that's foul.
Right? He's gone. So now we looking okay, well, we still got a nice nucleus. We can possibly make something work. Right? So, boom, the season coming around, and I got to put an appeal in. So, I didn't know if you leave after your sophomore year, you got to sit out a year, right?
Yeah.
So, here's what's crazy. This how God works, bro. So, when I'm transferring, you got to go down to, what is it called? The little place on Valete. The little MPS building, right? So the lady that's working on my transfer is actually the wife of my freshman coach at Vincent. So she kind of in so many words, tried to tell me look, if you leave Vincent, you might end up having to sit out.
Yeah.
So I wasn't trying to hear none of that. I was just trying to get up out of Vincent because I wanted a fresh start, right? So, and my best friend at the time was at Pulaski. So my head coach here is hey, look, we got to put an appeal in for you. I didn't know what that was. He was but you might not be able to play your senior year. Let's put this appeal in and see what happens. So boom, put the appeal in. I get denied. They say you can't play your senior year, right?
Yeah.
So he the appeal gets denied. But he you know what? I'ma still try to get you a school. So he hit up UW Manitowoc and all of 2-year schools around, hit up even MATC for me, where I end up playing a few years later. But he hit up MATC, having them come watch, introducing them to me. He doing all he can, right? But after I got ruled ineligible, he called Vincent, right? And Diener left. Diener's gone. He ended up taking the job at Hamilton to coach all of those guys that left Bayview. But he hits the new coach at Vincent and was like, hey, Charles, his appeal got denied. Can I send him back to Vincent and, let him play out his senior year? And the coach over there is like, nah, we don't need him.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, we don't need him. So, boom. So I didn't play junior year or I ain't play senior year.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's back to the drawing board. All right. So now,
and it's funny you bring up what happened to you. That was the Corey Lucius.
The Corey Lucius rule. Yep.
That's what you got affected with. Yeah.
Yep. That's what because before that, when you transfer, you just had to sit out. I want to say 60 days or something like that.
No, yeah, probably.
Yep, you had to sit out like 60 days from the date you transferred in, and after I think it was 60. You had to sit out them days, and then you could play. Right. So now, my whole senior year, like I ain't really playing. So now the head coach at Pulaski, he kind of giving me the cold shoulder, right? Because he don't really want to get in trouble. He don't want like ineligible guys around. Cool.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Right? Still let me go on our trip to Chicago because we played a Christmas tournament out there. And I got to see us like play against Issa Roar. And at the time, they had Ryan Boatwright, who ended up going to play at UConn. Yeah. So, like, I'm looking at this, and I'm just using this as fuel, because it's like, bro.
That's a player, too. You probably just passed him in high. How was he in high school?
He was only a sophomore my senior year, but he was, like, super fast, super quick.
I bet,
Get to his spots. He was a little wild, but, like, you could tell, like, he was gonna be cold,
he was
right?
Gonna be something.
So I'm seeing guys like that, and I'm like, bro, I'm gonna play in college. Like I'm gonna find a way to play one way or another, right?
Yeah.
So senior year, I don't play. Come to find out, I possibly could have if somebody at Vincent would have been willing to like sign an appeal or something for me. Nobody did.
That's
right. Yeah. So now I go to the game where Vincent plays Pulaski at Pulaski, and I'm looking at the team, and I'm like, my boy Weems quit, Bart quit, Steve Stovall quit, and the only seniors that was remaining was my boy Trent and my brother David Ross. Shout out to David Ross, man. He's the founding principal at Link Academy in Columbus, Ohio. Shout out to him.
That's what's up.
Doing this thing. But those were like two of the only seniors from our sophomore class that was on that team. So they playing a bunch of like sophomores, a bunch of juniors. And in my head, I'm like, the coach said he didn't need me. I'm looking, I'm like, this team ain't even that stacked, right?
Nice.
So that really like pissed me off, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna show them, bro. I'm gonna show them like I'm gonna play in college. I'm gonna do my thing, right? So senior year's wrapping up. I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna go to school. Here's what people don't know: Rochester, a D3 JUCO, who was really, really good in Minnesota, was hitting me up in my email. I'm a kid. I don't really know how to work email, but they asking for film. Coaches reaching out to me, right? They wanted me because I guess they see me in the showcase or something like that. Okay. So that's an opportunity I missed out on, right?
Oh, that would have been major.
That would have been major, right? So I guess a JUCO who I reached out to in Mississippi, they were like, we ain't got no scholarships, but you could possibly come walk on or, try out and stuff like that. So it was a school, Kahoma Community College in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Real small school. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go there. And my best friend at the time, he like, I'm going to go too. We gonna go try out. We gonna make the team. The coach rocking with us, so on and so forth, right? So boom. It's time to leave for college. Driving down there, we get down there. Now, remind you, we had all our ducks lined up in a row, admissions, housing, dorm, all of that. Bro, we get down there and they like, oh, we ain't got housing for you.
Oh, wow.
Yo, financial aid messed up. And on top of that, we going down there, the head coach gets fired.
Oh, no.
In the summer.
And you coming from Milwaukee all the way to Mississippi.
Bro. So my dad, rest in peace, my dad drive me down there, man. And we get down there, they talking about my housing messed up, financial aid is off, and the coach gets fired. So I ain't tripping on the coach getting fired. I'm like, cool, it is what it is. Yeah. I just want to go to school, right? Because my plan was, I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to try to go play at Jackson State because I wanted to go to a HBCU. And I had a lot of family in Mississippi. So I wanted to graduate from HBCU.
That would have been major too.
Yeah, that was my plan. So I'm like, bro, I just want my housing situation and my financial aid stuff to get fixed. So my best friend mom, like, she faxed stuff out because she helped do my financial aid. And mind you, bro, I was in a scholarship program through the Boys and Girls Club because I was a good student. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say.
They, the ones, helped me with my financial aid and did it for me.
Yeah.
So I knew everything was lined up. It was A1. So stuff ain't going right. I don't really think I'm meant to be down there because I'm like, bro, this is sloppy. This is weird. So me and my guy, we like, what we gonna do? So he like, well, I got family down here. We could go stay with them and we can go to Mississippi Delta Community College. I'm like, nah, bro, I don't think I want to do that. I ain't gonna do that. Yeah. I'm gonna take my chances somewhere else. So he stayed down there and he ended up going to MDCC. So boom. I come back to Milwaukee and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out for here. Now, my life is like, it's kind of messed up, right? So senior year, my mom's get evicted, right? So I'm staying with my best friend. So I'm at my best friend's crib and I'm just chilling and I'm like, bro, what can I do?
Yep.
Oh, I got family in Arizona, right? Okay. So got family in Arizona. I'm like, you know what? Let me call them up. Let me see what I can do. So I hit them up. I'm like, hey, my situation in Mississippi didn't go well. Do y'all got any room for me down there? Like, I'm just trying to find a school where I could hoop at and, you know, make a living for myself. So they're like, yeah, cool. Come down here. We live in Mesa, Arizona. You could go to Mesa CC and figure it out from there. Boom. So get a flight. Well, didn't get a flight. I got a train ticket.
Oh.
Train ticket. So I took the train. Yes. I took the train out west. It took me like 2.5 days to get there.
I was going to ask you.
Right.
Yeah.
Get down there. Enroll in school at Mesa. So now I'm there. The gym's open whenever I want it. So I'm going to work out. But I'm in the library one day and I meet somebody from Milwaukee, my guy Bebe, LaRon, right? LaRon Burnett. So I knew him because he used to hang with my cousin Linnell. So I seen him in the library there one day and I'm like, hey, you from Milwaukee, bro? He like, yeah, I'm from Milwaukee. What's good? Like, how you know me? So I'm like, oh, you used to hang with my cousin Linnell and you used to be with my stepbrothers because they all grew up on like 33rd to 35th and Burlock. Yeah. So like we had a little connection there and he like, man, you trying to hoop? I'm like, yeah, like, where are we going? He like, oh, we got this gym. We gonna be hooping here. And long story short, they used to go hoop at Scottsdale Community College out there. So we used to go do runs there and stuff like that. And I meet my boy Jahia through Bebe. And they like, kind of like, became like my big brothers while I was out there. Yeah. So they was like, you can go to MCC, but like you could try to come play at South Mountain with us because we be doing workouts or like you can see what's good with Scottsdale because they need players too. So one day they told me like, come to these runs. Like they was helping me out too. They was like, come to these runs. Scottsdale head coach gonna be here. Like, come work out for him and see what happens. So I tried out for. I worked out for a couple coaches from Chandler Gilbert out there. My cousin Keon, he put that together for me. And I didn't really get to see that through because, again, I'm coming from Milwaukee. And this is the first time, like, I got men in my life, bro, that, like, it's about business. Yeah. So he take me to a tryout, and the coach was like, yeah, man, come back, woo-woo. And after that, I'm thinking my cousin, because he set it up for me, he gonna pick me up and take me to I call him, and he like, little dude, like, what you on? Like, you ain't follow up. You supposed to be hitting me if you trying to get to that tryout. Yeah. So it was the first time I realized, like, bro, if you want something, that's like real. You gotta follow up, you gotta hit people up, you gotta show them that you want it. They shouldn't be hitting you up to go. So boom, the Chandler Gilbert stuff didn't work, right? So now I'm trying out for in front of the Scottsdale coach. Now I've grown to 6'2".
Okay. Yeah.
Right? I'm starting to dunk now. Yeah. Like, I'm coming into my own. So I go to this tryout with Scottsdale and I kill, bro. Like, I'm cold now. Like, I kill. So the Scottsdale coach, we exchange info. Woo-woo. Hey, come out to our tryouts. So now I got Scottsdale in my back pocket. I'm still going to the South Mountain workouts with them. And, bro, they school is loaded. So they play the year I was supposed to go there. They end up making the national tournament. And, like, these are my guys. So it's like, if I would have went there, I probably would have been buried at the end of the bench, probably had the red shirt. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take my chances with Scottsdale. Now, while I'm out there, my family, we kind of not seeing eye to eye because...
The family you got down there.
Yeah. We kind of not seeing eye to eye because I get down there and I didn't realize how much Milwaukee had affected me. But I was kind of reckless, bro. I'm stealing. I'm talking crazy. You know, hanging with the wrong crowd while I'm back home.
Yeah, that's shit.
But I just, like, and I'm staying with people. So when you staying with people, you gotta
be on your utmost.
You gotta be on your stuff, right? So it kind of ended sour while I was there. But... So I come back home and I'm like, I'm gonna just go to Scottsdale. So I put all my info together, woo-woo. Supposed to go back out there. I can't go back out there now because my dad gets sick, right? Yeah. So my dad gets sick in Milwaukee. I'm trying to go back out to Scottsdale. I'm like 19. So I literally stayed. No, not my dad. My dad didn't get sick yet. My granddad got sick. Okay. And my uncle had just got out of jail, and once he got out, he found out he had stage 4 cancer.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
After getting out of jail.
Yeah, right after getting out of jail. So that summer when I'm supposed to leave out, my granddad moved in with my mom's. And my uncle ended up moving in with my mom from jail. So she let my uncle stay there. We didn't know he had cancer at the time. But so I'm taking care of my granddad while my mom's at work. And I'm trying to figure out, like, man, I'm finna go out. I'm finna go hoop, do this, do that. So taking care of my granddad died that summer. Yeah. So now, right after he dies, this is my uncle got out of jail. He gets out of jail, comes live with us. I want to say like a month later, he finds out he got stage 4 cancer, right? Yeah. So I end up staying back and to take care of him because my mom's working, right? So taking care of him, I do that instead of going back to Arizona.
Yeah.
So my guy hit me up, hey, you gonna come back? You know what I mean, coach, thinking about you. I'm like, nah, bro, I'm here in the city, taking care of my people. Like, if I get an opportunity, I'll possibly come back out there, right? So, boom, my uncle ends up passing away. So now I'm like, okay, well, and I'm messed up in the head.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what do I do now? Yeah. Right? So I end up going to MATC because remember when I was in high school, they was coming to my games, introducing, I had some familiarity there. So I end up enrolling at MATC for the spring semester. I do a semester there. Start meeting a bunch of the basketball guys. My boy Rashad Alexander, who from Maywood, Illinois. Got the whole Rich Attitude brand. Shout out to Rich Attitude. It's my dog, man. I met him. I met my boy Miles Morgan, real good guys. And a bunch of other Chicago guys too. So I'm getting cool with them, and I'm working out with the team a little bit. The coach letting me, hop in drills, make passes. And my boy Shad, like, man, you should think about coming here, bro. Like, you should think about it. So I'm like, you know what? I just might. So I made my decision. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go to MATC. So, boom. My freshman year, my second year of college, I go to MATC. I'm on the team, right? So now I'm like, man, I'm about to prove myself. I'm finna show everybody, like, I'm really like that, right?
Yeah.
So doing good, like, I'm killing in, like, the preseason. We got, like, scrimmages and stuff like that. I'm killing, right? But we get to, like, the official practices and stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't used to being coached hard. Remember, I didn't play my junior year. I didn't play my senior year. So now I'm being coached really, really hard, and
you almost skip basically.
Yeah.
Like not all the way even in your high school level to the college program.
Yes.
Any college program is tough. Facts.
Tough. So
no matter
now,
what it is.
Now I don't look at being coached hard as a form of love. I'm seeing it as he don't like my game or he don't like me.
Yeah, I feel
right?
that.
So it kind of start taking my confidence away. So now when we get into juke, so honestly, if I didn't let that rattle me, I'm probably sixth man, seventh man, right? But it rattled me to the point where it shifted me low key to, like, I was on that cusp of either being the third string point guard or the backup point guard.
Yeah.
Like, it was gonna be either one of those. But my confidence was shook so much, and I didn't play within myself, I kind of became like that third string guy. Yeah. And I'm pissed because I'm like, bro, I can't play my game. I can't do this. I can't do that. He always whining. He always doing this. Instead of saying, okay, Chuck, what can you do better to earn more player time? So jamborees go away, and we about to go into our games. So right before, like, the first week of games, we had these progress reports that was due, right? So, boom. If you don't turn your progress report in, you can't play that first week.
Yeah, I see that.
So I got good grades. My grades is good. I'm solid. Yeah. Bro, I forget to get my progress report signed.
Yeah.
So instead of, and this is for the young athletes on here, this is where integrity comes into play. This is why I do what I do now.
Yep.
Instead of, and I've never told nobody this story before, instead of just going to coach and saying, hey, look, I forgot to get my progress report signed, and, just being a hood dude and, trying to get over, trying to be a slickster, instead of saying I need help and I messed up, I tried to cover that up by forging my professor's signature.
Oh no. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I forged my professor's signature. And I turned the progress report in. Here's where trying to be slick goes wrong.
Yeah.
My coach calls me. Well, he didn't call me into his office. We had practice, and he calls me into the hallway. And he looks at my progress report, and me not knowing, bro, you got other teammates who have that same professor.
Oh, yes.
Right? So my signature does not match up with their signature.
At all.
At all. At all.
Yeah.
And this is the head coach. He knows the people who are teaching you because this ain't his first rodeo.
At all. Yeah.
Right? So calls me into the hallway, and he says, you did this? And I was like, yeah, I did. Right? I did. So he was like, unfortunately, I got to kick you off the team. You'll have another shot next year, but this is all I can do for you.
Yeah.
Right? So now, this your second chance, bro. Like, you got an opportunity, a fresh start to do over, bro. But remember, my granddad just died.
Yeah.
My uncle just died. I got all of this trauma going on. I don't even know how to ask for help.
Yeah.
Because I'm the person that's doing all the helping. Right?
Fact.
So I didn't have nobody I could go to for help.
And how old are you at the time?
I'm 20.
Yeah, 20 years old. Yep.
20. Right? So, boom. Kicked off the team. Everybody like, damn, Chuck. And, bro, I missed out on the opportunity that was so good because that's the year we make it to the national tournament.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I heard about that.
So we had so much chemistry. Everybody kicked it with each other like we was having fun. And had I not did that, I'm on that team. I go to the national tournament. Even if I don't play a lot, I'm getting a scholarship because everybody on our team got a scholarship, right? So, boom, miss out on that. So now I'm like, do I go back? I couldn't even go back because after I got kicked off, my grades plummeted. I got put on academic probation. I had to work my way back into the school. So I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go back. So enroll for classes. About to go back the next year, try to redeem myself. Next thing you know, my dad gets sick. Right?
Yeah.
So my pops gets sick. And now I'm like, all right, what am I going to do? So I had the MATC thing, right? My dad gets sick. I stay home, take care of him for a little bit. He gets better. So I'm like, I gotta get out of the city, bro. So get out of the city, go to New York for a little bit, knew some people out there, kicked it, so on and so forth. Was about to go to school out there, but my dad gets sick even more, so now I gotta come back to the crib. Okay. So come back home, about to go to MATC. Don't do that. Yeah. My dad is sick, you know. I'm like, you know what? I'ma just take care of him and go from there. So while I'm taking care of him, I'm still going to hoop from time to time. So I'm going to the King Center. Good runs, bro. This is when Johnny Lacey had came back. Shane Woods was up there. Ended up going to Iowa Lakes. Jamil Wilson, my brother. He used to be up there.
Is this around the time when B. Jennings used to go up there and watch? I think little Charlie and them was doing their thing up there. But so, I went to that one time.
Yeah. So but in the mornings, my boy Baba, who's Tyler Hero's manager now. Oh, okay. So I used to be up there with those guys, and my guy Noah used to be up there, and Noah was the graduate assistant at St. Cloud State in Minnesota.
Yep.
So I'm up there killing. So Noah hit me up like, bro, would you consider like coming out here? I'm like, hell yeah. Like my grades straight. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I come up there, I try out, I even walk on.
Yeah.
He like, nah, bro, like, I could possibly get you a partial scholarship. You that good.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, bet. What's good? So we talking, head coach, find out who I am. They coming to see me hoop. Okay, cool, boom. I'm like, you know what? I'm finna go to St. Cloud State.
Yeah.
Bet. Man, last minute, they end up taking this kid from De Pere, like this 6'2" bouncy guard that lived in De Pere, went to De Pere High School. Like, we was the same type of player. So they like, oh, we gonna go with him.
And he had the high school resume.
Yeah, bro, he had the high school resume.
I can see that.
All of that.
Politics again.
Politics, right?
Yeah.
4-year varsity starter, doing this thing. They like, we gonna
And
take
he's from
him.
there, you said?
No, he's from De Pere, Wisconsin.
Oh, okay.
The Green Bay area.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Okay.
and he was nice, though. He was nice. Like,
Okay.
he wasn't weak or nothing. He was cold. He was cold. So, they take him. Now I'm back at square one. So I'm like, man, maybe like basketball ain't for me, bro.
Yeah.
Playing the game ain't for me. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stop playing. I'm going to just take care of my pops and see what's up from there. So boom. That's like 2013 going into 2014. That's when I decided, like, I'm going to give up my chances or give up the opportunity of trying to pursue playing college basketball.
Feel that?
Right?
Yeah.
And, like, that's where the whole, like, becoming a trainer and becoming a coach, all of that stuff start being birthed out of everything that led up.
Yeah.
Before that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yep. No, that makes a lot of sense, man. Hey, that's a real story as far as like, because I feel like more than half of America go through what you went through as far as like, it's a lot of people that love basketball.
Yeah.
But it's only a few people, you know what I'm saying? You get those D1 or college stories, and that's just a little bit. Half of them don't even make it to the league, not even. But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's the real story, what you spoke on. A majority of people don't even make it to college or go through stuff like that and got talent.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more stories that you have and people that love basketball than it is like the, you know, Division I and successful stories that you hear all the time. So I love that you broke that down, man. That's tough. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah. So, all right, with you going into training and stuff like that, what came first, training or coaching? Okay,
so now, all right, so this is for any like trainers or coaches that want to get in the game. I'm not gonna say this is for everybody, but this is my blueprint. Find a way to get into teaching. Okay, so now after I stopped playing, so I'm taking care of my dad, right?
Yeah.
So his health gets to the point where he needs round-the-clock care. So I'm taking care of him 24/7, right? So this is from ages 20 up until I was about like 26 or 25, right?
Oh, really? Okay.
So I remember I gave up playing. I gave up a lot of my like partying years to like take care of my dad because he was sick. So while I'm taking care of him, I'm in the house like bored. Yeah. I have nothing to do, bro. So I'm not hooping. I'm not doing nothing. So one day I'm like, man, let me just like start listening to some music on YouTube, right? So I'm listening to Jay-Z's Magna Carta Holy Grail album, right? Mm-hmm. And I listened to a song called, what was it? It was a Basquiat song. Or Jay-Z made a mention of a guy Basquiat, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, who is Basquiat? Right? So now I go do some research and I look up who Basquiat is. He an artist. So like from that moment on, I start paying attention to like everything Jay-Z talking about. So he started talking about jazz music.
Yeah.
He started talking about art. So like while I'm in the house, I just literally like start studying like a bunch of artists. So I'm studying Basquiat. I'm studying Andy Warhol. I'm studying like jazz musicians like John Coltrane, Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, like just because I'm bored. I ain't got nothing else to do, right? So I'm studying all of this stuff, and like a light bulb goes off, right? And like my love for like other things start developing out of just sitting around taking care of my dad, right? So instead of just like not doing anything with my time, I get involved in other stuff. So then studying that, I go listen to, this is right when the Watch the Throne album come out.
Yeah.
So now I'm listening to that, and I'm listening to Kanye. So I'm like, okay, Kanye talking about different people outside of music. Let me go see who he talking about. Boom. So then I go back and I listen to College Dropout, Late Registration, Graduation, and my mind is now like being blown because I'm like, these dudes are geniuses, bro. Right?
Thanks.
So a bunch of stuff start happening while I'm just sitting around taking care of my dad. And one day I'm like, okay, well, you ever thought about teaching? So I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, right? So now it's a couple pit stops in my story. Okay, so while I was in high school and I used to be at the Boys and Girls Club, I had an opportunity to work at the Boys and Girls Club. So I was working with like the 6 to 8 year olds with my guy, Coach Mike, and working with the 6 to 8 year olds, bro. I really developed a love for kids. I've always been good with kids. I don't know why. It's just, it's like my gift, right? I'm a magnet. So while I was taking care of my dad, that was going through my mind, like Boys and Girls Club, working with kids. Then, bro, I've always been a coach. I just didn't know it, right? Growing up in my hood on 49th and Garfield, like all my young homies and all my little guys, I used to like work them out. I didn't know it was like I was working them out. I'd be like, nah, you gotta shoot the ball like this. Nah, you gotta dribble like this. Nah, you gotta play defense like this. So like, I just would like mentor them dudes. So like, I'm like, cause I want y'all to like not be into BS, right?
Fact.
So I'm not knowing that like, dog, you really coaching and like you're training these dudes and you don't really know them, right? So that stuff was like, it was in me, right? And then the recruitment piece. So when I left off for college, like the Boys and Girls Club, they needed more kids, right? So like I told all of the young dudes from my hood, like, hey, keep going to the Boys and Girls Club even though I'm leaving. Like, so they ended up going to the Boys and Girls Club, playing football for Fitzsimmons, Boys and Girls Club, playing basketball there. And I didn't know it, but I had just like started like a recruiting process. And not even knowing it, right? Because I'm recruiting the little homies to go play at the Boys and Girls Club, the same club that I went to, right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
So, couple pit stops, right? So when I'm at my dad's crib, I'm like, okay, maybe you should go into teaching or like become a teacher or something like that. So, man, this is how crazy God works, bro. While remember, I was in Arizona, right? Now, I grew up in church, bro. That's all I know. Like, 7 days a week, 3 services a day, prayer, Bible study, so on and so forth. My brother was a pastor. My mama preached. My dad preached.
Oh, that's real.
So in Arizona, with my auntie, she like, if you're going to be living with me, you got to come to church. Right? So going to church out there, I meet a guy named Costanzio, who's from Racine, right?
Oh, that's crazy.
Right? Arizona, so I meet him in Arizona, right? So, boom, I moved back to Milwaukee. He leaves Arizona. He moves back to Racine, but he is like going back and forth, commuting from Racine to Milwaukee. So one day, bro, I kid you not, I randomly see him on Facebook. This is when Facebook still new, right? So we talking, I inbox him, he inbox me. He like, hey man, I'm back in Milwaukee. I live in Racine, but I'm commuting from Racine to Milwaukee, trying to find a spot in Milwaukee. But I'm actually doing, I'm the director of teacher development for this program called the Center for Urban Teaching.
Okay.
Let me take you out to lunch. Come to church with me, take you out to lunch, and I'll tell you a little bit about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, say less. Yeah. Let's do it, right? So, boom. We have lunch. He like, yeah, I'm the director of teacher development for this program called the Center for Urban Teaching. So basically, the Center for Urban Teaching puts together a 6-week internship program for teachers or for people that are wanting to aspire to be teachers, so college students, right? So for 6 weeks, you teach either English, you teach either English or you teach math, right? So you get 2 weeks of intense training, and then for 4 weeks, you're actually teaching the stuff that they train you on. So he was like, if you ever, want to do something like that, hit me up, let me know. I said, bro, I ain't even got to hit you up. I've been thinking about being a teacher because I've always been good with kids, and I need something to do because I'm just taking care of my pops.
Yeah.
Right? So I didn't know it was paid, and they pay you good, right? I'm doing it, and this is for anybody, right? Don't never go into an opportunity expecting to be paid. Like, you got to go into it being willing to do it for free. So I was going to do it for free.
That's real.
So boom.
So it was just a bonus.
It was just a bonus, right? Yeah. So I'm like, you know what, bro, I want to do it. So we link up, we start building, and when I'm signing up, they like, oh, and you get paid like 4 G's at the end of this. I'm like, 4 G's, like what?
I'm thinking that.
Right, so I do the program, right, going through the training, 2 weeks, and I'm like, man, this is dope. Like, they teaching me how to be a teacher, right? So now the 4-week teaching opportunity comes, and I just fall in love with it, bro. And at the same time, while you're teaching for those 4 weeks, you're getting live feedback from other teachers showing you the ropes of what to do and what not to do, right? And how to get better at your craft as a teacher. So, boom, I go through my first year there, and on top of that, they invite the top 30 performers. It's like 80 teachers in there at the time. So they invite the top 30 to go on a trip to New York, right? And to see other high performance schools out there to see if this is something we want to do. So I get blessed. I make the top 30, right? Never taught before. Make the top 30. Boom.
Wow, that's it. Yep. That's beastie.
Make the top 30. Go to New York, get to see all these other high-performance schools. Now, remember, I told you I've been listening to Jay-Z, listening to Kanye. They introducing me to all these people. So now, when I go out there, I'm going to all of these museums, sightseeing. And I go to this one school, and I meet this guy who's from Atlanta. And, like, we link up, and he like, hey, man, like, let's stay connected. We need more brothers in education. So I'm just meeting people out there, and while I'm out there, I'm like, man, bro, like, this is something I want to do for the rest of my life. Like, I could see myself teaching forever. So now, while I'm, and this is another timestamp, while I'm out there, we in Brooklyn with the internship group. It's like 8 p.m. at night. I'm at the top of a rooftop, okay? So I'm talking to like 4 or 5 other people, and we like, man, it would be cool. Like, did y'all enjoy what we saw today? I was like, yeah, man. And we was all talking, and this was 2013, and we're like, it would be cool if we could do something like this in Milwaukee, because, like, we love it. Now, this is like a little Kanye stream of consciousness or rant, so y'all bear with me.
No, okay? You good.
So, the people that I was talking to on that roof about starting a school and doing stuff like that in 2013, 2018, those same people, we start Kingdom Prep High School together.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so now, none of this happens if I don't go out to Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Because I meet my guy Costanzio in Arizona, right? So had I decided to stick it out in Mississippi, I don't go out to Arizona.
Damn.
I don't meet my guys from Milwaukee out there. I don't meet my guy from Racine, right?
Yeah.
And I don't get the opportunity to do the whole teaching stuff that I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, so boom.
That's
now,
crazy.
Right? That's crazy. That's God. So
That's
back,
God,
okay.
you're right.
So back to the teaching internship, right? So come back from New York. I'm still taking care of my dad. And it's getting bad, bro. It's getting real bad. He loses all left side mobility, right? I'm only 20.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I gotta get out of this house, bro. So it gets bad to the point where he has to go into a hospice.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's in a hospice now, and I gotta figure out now, like, how the hell you gonna make a living for yourself?
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Because you can't live off him.
Yeah.
So either now where we was living at, we still keeping the rent paid, so on and so forth. But I gotta start to put together a real plan, because if he gonna be staying in this hospice, eventually we gonna be out of this place where we at now. So now I'm putting together a real plan. This is God again. So going into 2014, the 2014 school year, after I finished the internship, I get a call from the principal at the time at Sherman Park Lutheran School, right there on Sherman and Center. And they like, hey, we need teachers assistants. The Center for Urban Teaching, they recommended you and said you'll be a good fit. Okay, now, the principal that gave me my job there is now the academic dean at Kingdom Prep, where I teach at currently. Okay, so he gave me my first gig in education. Okay, so boom, I go and I'm a teacher's assistant at Sherman Park Lutheran, right? So it ain't really no plan for me. They like, hey, move around, see classrooms. So I'm helping assisting K5 rooms, 3rd grade rooms, 8th grade rooms, just getting my feet wet doing that, right? So now you ask me, did coaching or training start first?
Yeah.
The 5th and 6th grade team needed a basketball coach.
Okay.
I had so much going on, you know, dealing with my dad and like trying to figure myself out. I'm like, I ain't coaching.
Yeah, I feel
right? I'm cool. And at the time, I ain't got no car.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I'm catching a bus to
Still
work.
young boy. Yeah.
You know, I'm 20, going on 21, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, I got to get my life together, right? So now all of the 5th graders, they like, no, you are coach. Like they telling me like, nah, you are coach. You gonna be our coach.
Yeah.
You gonna be our coach. So long story short, 2014, the 5th and 6th grade team, these boys like forced me into coaching. Right?
Yeah.
So coaching came first.
Okay.
Right? So I end up becoming a 5th and 6th grade coach in 2014. So I'm teaching at Sherman Park that year, 2014 and 2015. I'm coaching there and I'm working there. So building with the kids, I'm loving the camaraderie. I don't get along with the principal, so I end up leaving in 2016 and I end up going to work at Milwaukee College Prep.
Okay.
So worked at Milwaukee College Prep, helped coach there. Then I ended up going to work at Cross Trainers Academy.
Okay.
In 2016, after I left, I did Milwaukee College Prep for a semester. Didn't go good there. Then I went to Cross Trainers Academy the following year, and I end up coaching being the head coach of Carver Academy.
Okay.
So 2014, I coached Sherman Park.
Yep.
2015, I coached Sherman Park. 2016, I helped my guy at Milwaukee College Prep, my boy Ashby. Then 2017, I took over the 8th grade team at Carver.
Okay.
So while I'm working at Cross Trainers, so I brought a bunch of my guys from Cross Trainers Academy to come and play for me at Carver.
Yeah.
Right? One of the guys, Miko, my boy, ended up coming to play for me at Kingdom Prep. I'll talk about that in a little bit.
Okay.
But also when I was at Sherman Park, my point guard that was on that team, he ended up coming to Kingdom Prep and played for me too. Hence the whole recruiting thing.
Yeah,
right? So I'm going to talk about that in a second. So long story short, I got into coaching through teaching, right? So the way you, in my opinion, the way you get into coaching, you find a way to become a good teacher.
Yeah.
Right? And becoming a good teacher, I got that experience through the Center for Urban Teaching and my guy Constenzio, because I kept doing this internship for like 5 years.
Yeah.
So every summer, after I would teach during the school year, I would do that internship so I could get better and work on my craft and find a way to, eventually turn this into like, a career.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So 2017 go off, and 2018 is rolling around, and I'm at Cross Trainers Academy, and I just got a feeling like, bro, it's something out there more for me. Like, it's something out there more. Like, I could be doing more, right? I just felt like that. I don't know why, but I just did. So I started applying other places. At the time, Milwaukee Excellence Middle School had started booming. Okay. Like, it was supposed to be like the it spot for education. There's a spot out in Atlanta called Ron Clark Academy, and like, that's like the it school that everybody wants to emulate. Now, at the time, Milwaukee Excellence had that Ron Clark feel, and I'm like, I want to be the best of the best. So if I'm going to teach, I want to teach at the best of the best. So I apply there. I get an interview, and in this interview, you gotta teach a mock lesson, and you had to put together like an event that had nothing to do with school related stuff. Yeah, so like they put you through the fire to see if you built for it. Because again, this is the it school, and they had just went viral on YouTube. Like, the principal used to make raps and stuff. It was just like, he was in the mix, and like, it was where you wanted to be. So I killed that interview, bro. I killed it. Like, I killed it.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I got this job in the bag. Man, next thing I know, they like, we end up going in another direction, but don't feel bad. We're looking to grow. Feel free to apply next year or the year after that. I'm like, man, whatever. All right, cool. Right. So still at Cross Trainers Academy. Towards the end of the year, it's coming along. No, I'm not at Cross Trainers Academy. I'm sorry. I get fired from Cross Trainers Academy like January of 2000 and what's that, 18? Yep, 2018. So that's how I got that's why I applied at Milwaukee Excellence, because I got fired from there, right? So now I applied for Milwaukee Excellence, and I was so hungry because I'm like, I need a job, right? So that's how I know, like, I killed it, and I'm like, ooh, I got this job. They should be calling me up from the start. Man, I didn't get that. So I'm like, you know what? All right, cool. So I end up seeing one of a good friend of mine who used to coach me at the Center for Urban Teaching during my internship. I happened to see him while I was working at Cross Trainers Academy, and he was telling me that he was in the process of possibly starting a school or something like that, and I should hit him up. So now I'm unemployed. I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna do. I end up getting a job working third shift at Walmart in the freezer department.
That's some real grinding. Hell
real
yeah.
grind, right?
You're going to be cold every night.
Cold every night, right? And then in the summertime while I'm working there, you got to go in winter clothes.
Yeah.
But like you got to take mandatory breaks, so you taking that stuff off and on. You doing this, you doing that.
In and out, freezer. So
that's where the whole thing was birthed out of me saying, I know I should be doing more. I should be doing more. So in the back of my mind, when my guy, Kevin Festerland, was telling me he was in the process of starting something new, I said, you know what? Let me give this guy a call and like just see what he's up to, man. So I give him a call. We're talking, and he's like, yeah, man, I'm in the process of starting a new school. We looking to open up in the fall of 2018, and it's called Kingdom Prep.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool, man. Like, you know, I'm working third shift at Walmart right now, but I'm looking to jump back in education. He was like, oh, for real?
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah. So we talking. He like, well, if that's really what you're doing, we got a bunch of like launch events that we're doing in hopes of launching. So you should come by. So they would do like 3-on-3 basketball tournaments with like 7th and 8th grade kids.
Okay.
They would have like these weekly meetings with what they call like the student. They had like a student council.
Yeah. And
all of the young dudes would meet, and they basically came up with the school colors, the school mascot, the motto of the school.
Yeah.
Like, he was putting everything in their hands. He wanted them to feel like they was building the school. So I would go to stuff like that, and I'm like, man, this is fire. Because Kevin Festerland was one of those people on that rooftop that I was telling you about in 2013, where we were saying we wanted to do something like the schools we saw out there, because we had visited St. Benedict's Prep, a boarding school out there, and we wanted to emulate a lot what they was doing. So Kev basically was emulating a bunch of the stuff that we had saw out there with Kingdom Prep, right? So meet with him. Then he's telling me a bunch of the people that are going to be coming on board, and it was people that I was already familiar with. So I'm like, man, this is something I want to do. So I tell him, I said, Kev, man, like, I want to be a part of this. And he was like, well, let's keep talking. Let's see what's up. Let's stay engaged. Let's keep building relationship. So here I am. I'm going to all of these events, you know, the launch events for Kingdom Prep, not knowing if I would get an opportunity. I'm just doing this stuff in good faith, bro. I'm like, something might come out of it. If it don't, I'm going to figure it out. So, boom, still working at Walmart, and he hits me in June and like, hey, man, we want to offer you a teaching position, a TA role here. We would love for you to come aboard here at Kingdom Prep, and just looking forward to having you. Bro, once I got that call, the very next day when I went in to work at Walmart, I'm like, hey, I'm putting in my 2 weeks.
Yeah,
bro.
most definitely.
I'm gone. I'm like, my salary for my new job gonna kick in July 1st.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. So I go to Kingdom Prep. I'm like in a teacher's assistant role my first year there. And it's a new school, so they need coaches, they need this, they need that. So now I'm at Kingdom Prep, and people don't know this. I said this on one other podcast. I didn't go into Kingdom Prep looking to be a coach, be a head coach, be none of that. You know, I'm
just going strictly for education.
Yeah, going strictly for education, trying to get my feet wet, you know, trying to, you know, find my way, because again, I had to come up with a plan. And at the same time, like, my dad's health is really bad. He ended up dying in October 2018.
Okay.
So
it's on the same year.
Same year, right? Okay. So the founding year, I'm
going to, right? Rest your dad.
That being a part of that founding staff, I'm like, you know, I'm just trying to figure life out right now. But they didn't have a basketball coach. So my guy, Keith Bearden, shout out to Coach Bearden, that's my dog. we both were working at the school in the founding year. And he's a historic coach. He actually coached Flav, who you had on here during AAU, right?
Yeah.
So he had this big name, and I'm like, well, we all thought he was going to be the head coach. And I'm like, perfect. I just be his assistant. I got all this stuff on my plate. I ain't got time to be being the head coach. Right before the season, or like a month before the season, he didn't want to be the head coach. And he didn't know why, like, people was expecting him to be the head coach or to just let that fall in his lap.
I feel
that wasn't what he wanted to do. Because he was kind of burnt out. And, like, the politics was getting to him from high school, from AAU. He was just ready to be done with basketball. So he like, I'll be your assistant.
Yeah.
So now,
but I'm not about to take this for a burn.
I'm not about to take this all on, right? So now, here I am, don't want to be the head coach. But I'm the head coach now. So, first year, I'm the head coach. We just got a freshman team. Okay, cool. Boom. We do real good. Go like 11-2. Did pretty good. That's real good, right? So going into that next year, real life is hitting me because my dad just died. And on top of that, we had a freshman team, but now I got to add a JV team. Right? So I'm looking, and on top of that, I'm a TA, but my mentor or the principal of the school, he's like, don't just settle to be a teacher's assistant. That's not what you're here for. Find where you can add value. So going into my second year at Kingdom Prep in 2019, I'm like, okay, I'm building this program. On top of that, he's telling me to add value. Don't just settle to be a teacher's assistant. So I had the crazy idea. I don't know why. One day I just said to him, can I help you with recruitment? And his eyes lit up because he really wanted to be done with recruitment. I'm like, can I help you with that? He like, hell yeah, you can help me with recruitment.
Please.
Right? So me not knowing this is a private school, your entire funding and people's livelihoods are based on how many kids you have enrolled. Right? So at private school, you get so much money per kid. Right? So at the time, it was probably like $11,000 per kid. Right? So, and this is a brand new school. So like the teachers, the staff, their livelihoods are dependent upon the recruiter's job. Right? So, but in my mind,
that's
I'm
a big burden.
That's a big burden, right? And I'm young, right? This 2018, 6 years ago, I'm like 27, right? That's relatively young. So, boom, going into my second year, I'm named recruitment director at Kingdom Prep Lutheran High School.
That's a big title.
That's a big title, right? Recruitment director. Off of being a teacher's assistant. Okay, so now going into that summer, that second year, I'm like, okay, I'm recruitment director for one. I'm a basketball coach. I'm building a program. I got to start figuring out a way how to get the best players in this building and on my team. Right? If I can recruit, because so our goal was to recruit at least 60 kids every year, right? If we got to 75, okay, cool, but the minimum was 60. I'm like, I got two teams here now. If I can recruit maybe 30 to 35 guys, that will supplement going into the next year when we get a varsity, right? So, and I'm like, if I can get 30 to 35 guys, that leaves me with only 25 to 30 other people that I could recruit. So if I get 30 people to come play basketball, half my job is done. Right? So I'm like, okay, that's going to be my thing. I'm going to get at least 30 guys to come play basketball. Then I'm gonna use social media to recruit the best learners, the best students, and so on and so forth. But I'm like, okay, on this basketball side, I need something that sticks or would want to make people come.
Yeah.
So our gym will always be open because we shared it at the time, Bryant Stratton, hence where I coach at now.
Yep.
It's crazy how everything comes together. They used to practice at Kingdom Prep.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah.
Right? So now, if they had a game, they wouldn't be, because they would practice at night, the gym would be open. And I used to just start looking and I'm like, man, this gym is always open. What if I started like training?
Yeah.
Right? And start, working people out. So I had an idea. I'm like, well, I'm going to start with a couple of the guys that I got and go from there.
Yep.
So that first year I trained a little bit working with my players, and I used to post a few things on social media.
Yeah.
And people would be like, oh man, that's dope. But I never took it serious. So going into my next year, about to say my sophomore year, but my second year at Kingdom Prep, I'm like, man, I'm going to go training head on. Like, I'm going to really do it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I need a name, right? And I used to just sit and I used to, try to come up with a story. And I'm like, I want this to be bigger than just basketball. I want this to be a name, right? So I used to try to think about, I'm like, man, what's my story? And I said, skills over politics.
That's deep. That's deep. Yeah.
Yep. I'm like, I personally want to be so good at what I do and so skilled at what I do that the politics never come into play when it comes to doing what I do ever again. Right? And on top of that, I wanted the young dudes that I coached to know that you got to be so good that your skill has to outweigh the politics.
Thanks.
If you get that good, it'll always outweigh that stuff, right? So, hence, now, I got to give the credit. One of my students named Van, I used to be like, yeah, I got skills over politics training today. And one day, he was like, Smith, you got S.O.P today?
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I'm like, S.O.P? I'm like, oh man, that's kind of slick right there. So shout out to my boy Van, man. He was one of my students.
Hey, it's the youth. It takes the youth.
He was the first person ever to like make me turn into an acronym. Okay. So from that day forward, I'm like, okay, and it was also a few other people out there that had skills over politics, but I'm like, okay, let me just use the acronym because I can turn that acronym into anything.
Thanks. That's
right?
a fact. Yeah.
So I created an LLC in 2019, S.O.P Basketball LLC, and then I told you I love fashion, so I took that S.O.P acronym and I started a fashion blog called Style on Point.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. So now I've created like a lifestyle brand out of this stuff. Yeah. And now I got two entities that I can use because people need training. Yeah. And I have a gym where guys can actually come and work out. Right. So I'm the head coach. I got S.O.P going now. And I'm like, okay, I got S.O.P. What can I do now? Oh, this is what I can do. I need guys to train, so I'm going to train people for free. So the whole summer of 2019, as a recruitment tool, I'm like, I could train 7th graders, 8th graders. I could train college guys. Yep. I can do all of this. And long story short, I started to create some buzz because my little bro Shannon, who ended up playing at MATC, where I got kicked out of, right? I started training their entire team. Okay. Right? Yeah. And it's so crazy. So I didn't go to nationals because I got kicked off the team, right? Yeah. But 2019, I'm training their entire team, right, that summer. and they go to the national tournament.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
So although I didn't make it as a player, now I'm blessed with an opportunity to have a part and redeeming myself, right? So I'm garnering some buzz 2019, and then I get my first pro client, a guy who you need to have up here, Mike Taylor.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You gotta have Mike T up here, bro.
Hey, if you can help me bring him on, I'm
Mike
with
T,
it.
you coming on, bro?
Please do, thank you.
So I knew T outside of the basketball world because we went to the same barbershop, and we would just like have common ground when it came to like the youth, making Milwaukee better. Had nothing to do with basketball.
Facts.
But due to the fact that we had that relationship, he was the first guy to be like, hey, would you train me?
Yeah.
And I'm like,
dang, okay, yeah.
Right? I'm like, this is a dude that played in the NBA, made history, the first rookie ever to score 30 points in Madison Square Garden, the first person ever to be drafted from the D League to the NBA. And that's just going through my mind. And I'm like, yeah, I'll train you, right? I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. So
that's
boom.
Crazy. I mean, that's God.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
that's
like
God, bro. So I start working out Mike T, and he's showing me love, and he's showing me the ropes, like how to get better at training pros, how pros think, right? Like how many reps they should be getting per drill, how to approach pros, how to carry myself, you know, how to be professional. And from that moment on, with S.O.P, I'm like, okay, I need a slogan, I need a motto, because, you know, I'm talking to Mike T about all this stuff, and I came up with 3 P's, and that's like my motto. So my 3 P's are be professional, be player, and be prayed up.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So from there, I'm like, oh, I got a motto now. I got something to live by. And all of that came from the work that I did with Mike T and him showing me, like, if you want to be a pro, like he saw that I was going to be a pro coach or could be a pro coach before a lot of people. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So now, going into that second year, I got a freshman team, I got a JV team, and I'm being introduced to scheduling and, you know, meeting other coaches and putting games on the schedule. And now I'm seeing people, I'm starting to get so much buzz, people are starting to hate. Yeah, right? Yeah. People telling kids not to come play for me. Oh, that's crazy. They just got a JV program. They ain't even varsity yet. Why would you want to go there and waste a year? Like, just saying a bunch of garbage, right? So, again, this is a guy who didn't want to be a head coach. Yeah. This is a guy who is 2 years removed from losing my dad, just being a teacher's assistant, working at Walmart third shift, bro. 2 years removed. 2 years removed, bro. Yeah. And now, like, my life is like, right? So I got all of these guys talking crazy, and again, I'm young, and Beard end up leaving and taking a job elsewhere, so I don't really have an OG in my corner like that to talk me through, you know, how to navigate that stuff. So I'm not gonna lie, I was super immature, took certain stuff personal. I would hop online and, like, I wouldn't like go back and forth with people, but I would kind of make posts to the point where, and I'm so smart, I'm the type of guy who can make a post to where it don't come off as cocky, but it could be interpreted like this dude arrogant as hell. Right? That. So, like, I'm not the humble Chuck like Chuck. 2 years ago, you was just working at Walmart third shift, bro. And now God has blessed you to be a head coach of a brand new program. Like, you're making history. Nobody has ever done this before. This is once in a lifetime, right? So I'm going back and forth with people on social media, getting into real weird stuff, but at the same time, it's like, I'm getting the job done because, like, I'm getting guys to come play for me to to just play JV.
Yeah,
right?
That's crazy. That's beefy
so
too.
I'm getting real good players. My boy Malik ended up coming over to play JV for me, who was my point guard at Sherman Park. My young boy Jai Ken, who played at Destiny. Matt, he went to Madison. Ended up leaving Madison, came to play for me. He was real good. He is one of my favorites. My young boy Keandre, who's over at MATC now, he played for me at Kingdom Prep. Left Juno, got kicked out, came to play for me. Who else? Miko came to play. So I'm starting to create a young core.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? We gonna play half JV, and then we gonna play half varsity games because I gotta get y'all prepared for that next year, right? So I'm building all of this stuff. It's going well. Recruitment's going well. And now, hence the next year, 2020, my third year, going into that varsity year, COVID hits.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Right?
This is it.
So now it's COVID, okay? I'm at a brand new school, right?
Yeah.
People's livelihoods are literally on the line because we don't know if we're going to be able to teach.
Yeah, that's
right?
a fact.
So it's COVID year. The world is shut down.
Shut down.
Kingdom Prep, we're so innovative. We had Zoom school.
Yep.
Yep. So we on Zoom, and this ain't just like teachers giving work and we hop off Zoom and kids doing work. No, teachers are literally at the school.
Okay.
Zoom set up just like this.
Yeah.
And we're teaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Right? And guys are sitting on Zoom getting work done.
Yeah.
Right? So if that's happening, right? If school is going on, recruitment still got to be happening.
Yeah.
Like my principal not trying to hear it.
Yeah.
Right? So now it's like, how in the hell am I going to recruit 75 guys while the world is shut down?
Yeah.
It was so messed up. You couldn't even see, people didn't even want to see you face to face.
Yeah, it was serious when when the pandemic first hit. It was serious.
So I'm like, okay, well,
it was like you can catch it just touching something and catch it.
Yeah,
It
so
was
I'm
serious.
like, okay, well, it's recruitment director. What can I do? Well, everybody on their phones. We ain't got nothing to do, so I started just blasting stuff about Kingdom Prep on social media. I'm talking to kids every single day about high school. I created a Belief in the Brotherhood podcast that was built around brotherhood on Instagram Live and on YouTube and so on and so forth. So I'm doing all this creative stuff because the world was eventually going to be shut down, bro. And it was going to open back up.
Yep.
And I'm like, well, okay, we got to figure something out, right? So long story short, it's COVID. We going into May, and bro, by the grace of God, fam, I'm working so hard. I end up making my numbers. And if people know anything about sales and recruitment, if you don't hit them numbers, it's going to be hell.
No, fact.
You practically be fired, right? So in the middle of COVID, I hit my number, and now I'm relaxed, and I'm like, okay, good, right? So school year coming to an end, but remember the world shut down. I still got S.O.P going, and ain't nobody got nowhere to hoop.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, guys is hitting me up that I didn't even think I had the capacity to train or coach, right? Hey, I heard you got the gym at Kingdom Prep. Can we come by, get some shots up? Woo, woo, woo. I'm like, yeah, cool. That's what's up. Now, 2019, right, when I'm training and stuff, I did not allow open runs in my stuff.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I'm like, if you can do fives anywhere. You can do that wherever. My goal here and my emphasis is I'm doing completely training, and I want to help guys get better at half court execution, because you go to these certain trainers and you doing 5, 6 dribble combo moves, you're going around cones, but that stuff don't translate. So I said, well, when the game slows down, what is your game like, right? When we playing in the half court and you got to go set for set, action for action, play for play, I want to help guys be able to be comfortable and to dominate in that area. So I'm starting to get a lot of the JUCO guys, the MATC guys, my little brother Justin Brookins, who had a lot of success with me, getting guys like that, and I would never let them run. I'm like, go play 5 somewhere else. Yeah. So now, again, the world is shut down, and guys is like, bro, you should do some runs. You should do some runs, man. And at first I was kind of stubborn. So I'm like, nah, that ain't what got me here. Like, what got me here is just half court training. So, but I had a thought. I'm like, okay, well, maybe I should. So I did one run. I had a couple college guys, couple pros showed up. Shout out to my boy DG, who I went to Vincent with. Shout out to my boy James Bateman, who came to a run. He's down playing in Australia right now in the NBL.
Oh, he got his brother down at Mass now.
Yup, Beast Mode. Yup. So, like, they came to a run, and I had, like, a bunch of college guys playing, and the run actually was decent. Like, it was nice. So, I'm like, man, maybe I could do this a little more, right? So now it's June, and Division I guys have to report on campus for summer school. Yeah. COVID, they can't get in their gym. Yeah. So shout out to my brother Jose Perez, who's playing in the Middle East right now. He transferred from Gardner-Webb and came to Marquette, and we had like a little connection, because again, I used to be in New York. We had a connection, and he made a tweet on Twitter like, where the hoop at in Milwaukee, and I commented on there. I'm like, what's good? Shoot me your line. Woo woo. We connect. He like, yo, like, can I come to the gym? I touch down in a day. So, boom. Start training him. Next thing you know, my little cousin Alasia Blockton, who played in Marquette, you should have her on too. She's cold. I was training her as well before I like got big or whatever, and she was telling me like, cuz you need to get those Marquette players. And one of the Marquette players who she was telling me, my boy Cody McEwen, he ended up start coming with Zay. Then my boy Justin Lewis, who ended up playing in Marquette, getting drafted, played for a little bit in the league. Justin ended up coming with them from Baltimore. So now I got them dudes. Then I start working out T-John Lucas from UWM. So T-John started bringing Van Baker Jr., So now I'm like, man, like this stuff is getting, right? So then I start getting the Wisconsin guys, and I got the Wisconsin guys so then I got Tristan Jazz, and he recorded one of the runs. It got 1 million views in a day. From there, I started getting a lot more NBA players, Jalen Johnson, the Marquette guys, the Wisconsin guys, and my life changed, man. So from Kingdom Prep to now coaching at Bryant Stratton, man, it's been a real joy.
Hey, soon part 2, man. I'm gonna let you go. We got part 2 coming soon. This is JonnyBeeTV. We got Chuck Smith in the building, man. Y'all get over this love.